Hey everyone, I'm Jay Hill. Welcome to the first episode of what will be a series, a sort of behind the scenes making of a game character. We're going to be making
Doomguy,
the main character from Doom, which is a game I used to love playing when I was a kid. In this first episode, we're going to be starting from a sphere and ending up with a base mesh of a person that will eventually be Doomguy. So we're going to try to make him like buff and awesome and 80s. So this video hopefully is fun and informative for those that are interested in the process of making a game character or using software like Zbrush and Maya and stuff more. Every week or every 2 weeks or something, I'll put out a video like this, sped up video of the work that I did, and then there'll be a little talking me in the corner that just blabs about random stuff as I rewatch it with you guys. Let's do it. So here I'm starting with a sphere and then making the head. In the competition, it said you couldn't use any base meshes that you already had. Normally, I would start with some kind of human shape, just to save time. But so I couldn't do that. But I thought that's actually kind of cool anyway. It's a little bit more informative. So I wouldn't normally start with a sphere if I didn't have to. But here you get to see what that would look like. So I start with the head, and I'm always spending way too much time on the face and head stuff. Just it bugs me if the face doesn't look right at any stage of making a character. So even though it never ends up, exactly how I have it, I just need to like move it around and nudge it until I'm okay with it, so that I can leave it and go on to other stuff. Here for the ribcage, I actually just appended another sphere and then digitally kind of melted it in together with Dynamesh. So you'll see me making marks. Well, let me just start by saying the anatomy part right now, I'm doing it all just from memory and feeling, and then I'm going to double check my work later with a book or guides or anatomy reference pretty much. So I know enough measurements to get things down, and at the end of the day, this is going to be a game character anyway, so I want it to be exaggerated by the end of the whole thing. But the reason why I'm making little marks and things that you're not going to see in the end, because he'll be wearing armor and a shirt and boots and stuff like that, is because those marks give me reference points to measure things, and so it's a way of kind of making a map of the whole body, so that I know where does the arm go, or where does the elbow go, how long should the torso be, or how big is the head? Is the head too big? So anyways, they all relate to each other, so that's why I'm marking it all in. And also, even though it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate, the more accurate that you get it, then when you lay layers on top, like pants, let's say, then the hips and stuff will inform how you lay the pants and where the wrinkles can be. So it's important to do your best to and be accurate when it's this stage, because this is technically, I'm making a base mesh here, right? But it is kind of an anatomy piece, because that's what gives me the reference point on how to build things and layers up on top of that. So you can see for the arm, I just made a mask and pulled it out. That's the beauty of Dynamesh. I can keep pulling. I lay in the muscles. I used the damp standard brush to draw, lines and marks and things to build off of, and then I use the clay tubes or the clay brush to layer up on the forms on top of that. And I even like to go across the muscle and along the muscle, and just to see, just to kind of mimic the fibers sometimes too, and different ways to build up the shapes that I want. And I'm also using the move brush a lot. Like, this needs to be very malleable, because it's the beginning stage. I'm constantly telling myself, hey, this is not at all the final piece. Remember, these are all just reference points, because at the end it's gonna be a totally different thing. So yeah, and I also go over multiple times areas that are not right and give me problems, but so I bounce around so I don't get stuck. You can see the hands and the feet and the legs I put off to the very end, because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to You see what I'm doing here. Like, I knew I would have to pull out these tubes and then sculpt the legs, and I knew that was gonna be a little challenging and time consuming because a tube is not at all a leg. So, but you know, to keep variety, I go back and forth. I mean, to keep it interesting, and also, you know, it lets your brain kind of rest and noodle on what you were stuck on and work on a new problem. So that's really what this is. This whole character is a set of problem solving, and so you're constantly trying to check everything, and like, you know, how does the head feel in relationship to the shoulders, or the collarbone? Is the collarbone too high? Is the chest too wide? These abs are going to be important later, actually, in the character, because the armor is going to be showing them. There's going to be like this ab window, and I think it's like super important that this like man cleavage right here looks good. So I'm paying special attention because I know I'm going to go back to those abs later and make them look cool. The fingers here, I didn't even separate the fingers yet. You know, I'm going to have to rebuild parts of this anyway, so to save me some time, and also so that Dynamesh didn't merge them together and I lose any work, I just kept some of the fingers as a blocky mass. That's the only reason why it's doing that. It's just to save time, and I know I'm going to go back to refine it later. The shoulders and the armpit is a tricky little part and an important part. The character will have sleeves, like a shirt or something later, so I'm not super worried about that, but I want this area to make sense. Yeah, here comes the feet. So I just pulled it out and started going. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pull out this thing, and then that's another beauty of Dynamesh is if you free yourself up to just do stuff, just pull something out, you can change it later. You can refine it, you can move it, cut it, you know. So you should feel liberated. You should definitely just do it, you know. And these legs, you'll see, like, I'll make big changes too in the, another thing that's important to me at this stage is kind of the gesture of the character, of the T-pose, of that you call it, like just the standing there default pose. I like to try to impose some kind of gesture there and make it look interesting there. I don't want him to look stale while he's standing there even. Like, it's something that, you know, I noodle with a lot. And it's just like about feeling, and also like how he rotates the rib cage and the S curve of the profile, how far back his elbows are, how low his elbows are, the bend of his wrist. There's all this kind of thing that I'm paying attention to, and that it bothers me. Like right now it feels stale to me, but you'll see, like, I'll like getting the bow of the shin bone and the front view. I mean, you know, it's just stuff that I noodle with all the time, but it's important to me at this stage that he feels alive a bit and interesting, even if he's in a dorky default pose. And it also just helps me with my work that I just wouldn't have as much fun or enjoy working on something that looks stale and bored and dead. Here you see I noticed that the forearm was too long, so that's gonna happen. And I'm moving the shoulder. I'm gonna be moving all the time. Definitely the end goal of this process is, all right, my base mesh is done, I'm going to build stuff on top. But I just know from experience that there's no, okay, this is it, and set it in stone. So you want to get as close as possible, obviously, because it makes your job easier later. Because you can't just move forward too quickly, because it's difficult to be moving the underlying body as well as other subtools or layers you have on top. But that will probably end up happening, because once I put the costume bits on and block that out, then I'm going to be editing everything together, because that's the final form of the character anyway. I'm definitely not just going to be stuck with how this shape looks with other costume bits on top of it. I'm going to want everything to feel good in relationship to each other. So right now, I know that I'm trying to put into this character is he's a muscular action hero-y type of character. My reference on my other monitor is like Arnold from Predator and Conan and like some just strong guys, and you know, it's his like action hero type that this character is going for. And also like The Rock, just like this big, you know, bicep t-shirt stretching guy. A lot of the time, like one of the main references in terms of the vibe of this character is that 80s action hero-y stuff, that like that Predator bicep high five, and just the oiled muscle and the like, let's kill some demons and stuff. Like that's what attracted me to doing this project, and it's what I like about the character, and I hope to carry that through the end. So there's always this like buff man meat 80s metal action hero thing that I'm thinking about and I want to get, and it's like it's just a fun thing that I want to make sure that it carries through the whole process of the character. So I know that means it has to be a strong guy, and maybe even like kind of a Captain Upper Body type of thing. Like it's like his legs aren't, he's not winning bodybuilding competitions. He's just like rock and roll killing demons. You know what I mean? You can see now, slowly over time, he's gotten more buff a bit. And he'll probably get a little bit more buff. But these shapes are still... I'm keeping everything kind of melty. Because there's no point in detailing stuff that you're not going to see. The arms and the abs will be the skin that you see. Like the bare skin that I will spend time on in the future, and the hands, although he'll be wearing gloves, I think. So just refining more stuff. As you work on other bits, you'll see they move forward, and then you'll go back to other bits because this new stuff that you did has informed that and how they relate to each other. So here I'm bringing in reference now to refine this arm shape, and this isn't going to be done again. This is I'm refining it more so that the shapes are a little bit more correct. The forms, like the base forms, are where they're going to be, because again, there's going to be a point where I'm going to spend a lot of time on just the arm, because I'm going to be refining and finishing the sculpt and then adding layers of detail on it so that it looks realistic. But right now, this is just a more accurate base form that I'm going for. This book is anatomy. You can see there, it's anatomy for sculptors. I've got several anatomy books, but this being an ebook makes it easy to bring up for this video so you can see. But there's plenty of books on it, and there's plenty of images on the internet for anatomy, obviously, of every part that you want. But I guess a point I want to get across is I didn't just like bring up an anatomy picture and then try to make that exactly, because then, well, if you're successful, then it's just going to look like this anatomy thing, this whatever other piece you were going after. Two, in this case, this isn't that applicable because this is a naked buff guy, which is pretty funny. But also, what happens sometimes is you're going to make a guy that looks like a guy without skin, just a zero body fat guy, because that's what anatomy references. But there's obviously going to be some fat and skin layers on top of that. So don't get too caught up in making the skinless buff guy. So I didn't just start with reference and copy it. I just went by feeling how big is Arnold's delts versus his head, and like what is it about him that feels like, oh man, he's a super strong guy. And Arnold's a good example of a guy who, like, his abs aren't ripped. He doesn't have like ripped zero body fat abs. He doesn't even work out his abs to get him big, and that's a part of his appealing shape. At the end, I went to refining it with reference that was much more accurate. So that way I got to do kind of what I wanted, or what I was, you know, going by heart, let's say. And then at the end, I double checked my work to make sure, okay, let's make this a little bit more accurate now. Let's refine this. Let's bring this back into a more realistic realm. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's episode 1. The next video will probably be blocking out the costume bits. All right, cool. Peace.